Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Foreman's Basement. My name is Frank, and no harmonica intro for this video because we're doing something a little bit different today. It's just a general discussion about physical media and CDs and collecting, and just why I personally am trying to move as much towards that lifestyle as I can and getting away from things like streaming and phones, which I know is not entirely possible, but certainly we can minimize the use of things like social media and the internet. And yeah, that's really all there is to this video. I guess I'll start off with some recent CDs that I picked up because I decided to start collecting again. I don't know if I'm sure I've mentioned it at some point on this channel that, well, first of all, in case you don't know me, music is a huge part of my life. And I used to have a pretty decent CD collection in my early 20s that it's gone. I don't know what happened to it to this day. I guess the short answer is someone stole it, right? One way or another. I mean, we're talking about literally thousands of dollars worth of CDs, and I'm still sad about it to this day. Like, sometimes I just think, specifically because some of the CDs that I had was the kind of thing that you cannot get online, the kind of thing that never made the jump to streaming, God knows if it ever will, or otherwise bootlegs, things where whoever owned the original recording certainly didn't have the rights to reproduce them. Pretty much rare music, rare cuts, just stuff that you can't find anywhere else. I've been heartbroken about that since it happened. Again, it doesn't, it's something that I think about regularly. And recently, I don't know why, I decided to start collecting again. Actually, I do know why. That's kind of the topic of this video, is because I have a lot of problems in my life, right? I do not like living on this planet. I do not like having to exist. It's a very, I have problems, right? And one problem that I have identified, a lot of the problems I have, there's just no solution to them. But this does have a solution, and that's that I'm spending way too much time on the phone, wasting perfectly good time while I'm still relatively young. And this time is just slipping between my fingers. Some days I'm in a bad mood and I get home and I have no energy and I just sit on the phone and scroll all day, And again, some of the problems you can't fix, like the mood and the energy levels, that's something I've been working on for years. But the phone thing is something that's so easily identifiable. I'm just scrolling, looking through reels, and then what do I get out of it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Zip, zilch, nada. Nothing from it. I get more out of being addicted to drugs and alcohol than I do from scrolling on the phone. That's not me trying to be funny. That's just the actual literal truth. So, an addiction that serves me nothing. I've been making a very concerted, is that the word? A concerted effort to stop that. And a big part of that is getting away from holding the phone all day. So I have a CRT television in my room, which it doesn't have to be CRT. I just happen to like CRT televisions. That's one aspect of it. I have handheld game devices, like Game Boys and DSs, which is, in my mind, a more productive way to spend time than, again, just mindlessly scrolling. At least if you're in a game, I don't know, you're like collecting monsters or leveling up a character or something, but you're just the scrolling. I really can't get over that, how much time I've wasted, and it's all bullshit. It's brain rot. Anyway, I'm not going to get upset because I could get upset about that. So I realized that I needed to get as far away from it. And not a few months ago, a few years ago, I started collecting cassettes. I couldn't bring myself to start collecting CDs again because, I don't know, and even now that I'm still recollecting CDs, it feels, well, first of all, it feels wasteful because I'm rebuying some of the albums that I had already spent money for before. But anyway, last year I found some cool bootlegs on eBay, and that started me on a little bit of a trend. And then I started going to shops and just found out that you can get cassettes fairly cheap. It's a good way to have an entire album for a few dollars. They don't sound as good as the CDs, and it's hard to find a good cassette player, but we were moving in the right direction. So I finally just very slowly started buying CDs again. In my hand I hold, and I'm holding them like this so that I don't spoil the surprises. This is what I've come up with so far. Now I do have a couple of random old CDs from my old collection, things that were sort of scattered about. This is a great example of what I mean. You can't get this on Spotify. There's some very inappropriate things that are said on this recording. Now, granted, Seattle June 5 is available, just not in this particular iteration. It's edited. So anyway, I took the remnants of my old collection and started collecting where I could. We'll start off with the Rolling Stones Sticky Fingers. I wasn't actually that into the Stones until about a year or two ago. I'm trying to think where it was that I think I just saw a documentary. I think I saw some documentary about Mick and Keith and how, what really got to me, because I've always known about the Rolling Stones. They've always been on my radar. But what made me sort of feel connected to them and respect them so much more is learning their origin story, which, like many great bands from the time, involves blues, of course. They started off as a blues band, as two blues enthusiasts. I also think it's very cool that Mick Jagger can play harmonica the same way that Robert Plant can play harmonica. I think it's, for two British boys to learn blues harmonica in England, no less, at a time when there was no internet. And same thing for Brian Jones. I love that he played slide, tried to emulate Elmore James and all that stuff. So once I learned about the Rolling Stones, I did start getting really into them. What the hell did I do with that CD that I just had? Did I already put it at the bottom of the stack? So I was somewhat familiar with them, and I delved into their early category, which is good. I was very fascinated with the Brian Jones era for a while, and then I got really into Keith Richards. I think I didn't read it. I heard his audiobook on Spotify, which again, very interesting, and just made me realize, oh, he's like my kind of dude. Like, this is the kind of dude I would love to just smoke a joint with and jam for a while. So we got Sticky Fingers. This is one I'm not too familiar with. That's the other thing I'm going to mention about this entire stack is each one of these CDs that I'm going to show you, I picked it based off of two things. One, I wanted things that I hadn't heard before. I wanted something relatively fresh that I could sink my teeth into. And two, I wanted good all around, right? Like a piece of everything. So again, Rolling Stones is the quintessential rock and roll band. You could call them a blues rock band, but most of the world knows them as a rock and roll band. And I just thought, look, I'm getting into the Stones. This is a fantastic album, 1971, Sticky Fingers. I'm already somewhat familiar with their catalog. I've sampled it just from Apple Music and stuff, and I thought this would be, you can't go wrong with this. This is perfect way to restart a CD collection. So we got that one. I've listened to it a few times. Dead Flowers was one that I already knew because I've seen The Big Lebowski about 1,000 times, and when that one came on, I was immediately like, oh, that's pretty cool. Brown Sugar, of course, wonderful. Wild Horses. I mean, it's all good stuff, and I haven't even sunk my teeth into this yet. For me to, I think most albums reward repeated listenings. I'm really an album guy. Like, specifically, I'm in love with the album experience. I like to listen to an album all the way through, beginning to end, as I'm doing something, or just have it on, I'm not really into playlists. I'm not into picking through singles. I didn't even get into singles until I started exploring, like the Little Walter catalog. The Little Walter was mostly a singles artist. I think most of the Little Walter albums are just compilations of his singles. So, but I mean, really, as far back as I can remember, like high school, listening to Led Zeppelin and stuff, I've always been an album guy, always. I never, you know how on Apple Music or Spotify, you pull up an artist and the first thing it shows you is like their top 10 songs? I purposely, don't want to hear it. Don't want to fucking hear it. I'm not interested. I've said it before, I'll say it again. When I listen to Led Zeppelin, I'm not listening to Stairway to Heaven, okay? I'm not listening to Immigrant Song, okay? I'm listening to everything else besides that. Anyway, all this to say, I love the album experience, and moving on, let's see, what should we do next? I guess we'll stay on the Rolling Stones kick, because this was the album that got me into the Stones, Exile on Main Street. You can see Three Bald Charlie there on the back of the cover. Some of these, I have this one's in the CD player right now. Some of these had pretty decent booklets in them. Some of them were a little bit, they left something to be desired. I really like it when I have the lyric book as something that I can refer to as I'm listening to it. actually, to be honest, kind of sucks about CDs is they are a little small. I like having, when you have a vinyl record, it's just this big piece of cardboard that you can just hold, and it's really nice to hold an LP and just admire the artwork on it, because especially something like this, Exile on Main Street, there's so much going on in this collage of American circus performers here. I would really like to have this cover blown up, but not that I'm complaining though. This is again, fantastic double album. I love the story of how this album was recorded in the south of France in this mansion that they rented out. What should we do next? Okay. Another one I got, Jimi Hendrix Electric Ladyland. Now, I'm not a huge Hendrix guy. I'm really not. I couldn't really tell you much about Jimi Hendrix. I just know he's a very well-respected guitar player. I know my dad is a huge fan of Jimi Hendrix. And most importantly for me, Jimi Hendrix is widely considered to be pivotal in the psychedelic rock movement. And if there's one genre of music that I was obsessed with before blues, it was psychedelic rock. I had to reverse engineer that psychedelic rock to come back to blues. But when I was in high school, I listened specifically to psychedelic rock. Mid 60s to early 70s type of thing, and really it's just late 60s. But so we have the Electric Ladyland double album. Now I almost bought this. They had a 2025 edition that was like a lot more expensive, and I almost bought it new because it said like 5.1 remastering from the Jimi Hendrix estate or something. Thank God I didn't buy it, because I looked at the back cover and it's like it was a Blu-ray disc. Imagine that. How fucking stupid do you have to be to put that out on the market? I mean, Blu-ray disc. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure it sounds great. No one is ever going to adopt the Blu-ray disc to listen to music. Nobody. Only audiophiles. So, I haven't sunk my teeth into this one yet. I've listened to it once, not paying full attention. But so far I like what I've heard, and I hope to listen to this more. This one... This is another one of those. I feel like this is an album experience. I feel like this is one you want to listen to beginning to end. This is fun. Beatles Rubber Soul. I used to have this one on CD. It was like an old CD, like maybe from the 80s or 90s. It's got a pretty nice triple. Yeah, look at that, just beautiful. I love this. You guys know I like that kind of color of green blue, but it's just a wonderful picture there. I love that. Also, it has to be mentioned, I love these mini LP editions, or whatever they're called, this thing where they make it look like the original vinyl, right? I really love that, and I'm gonna show a couple more examples here as we go on, but if I'm not mistaken, this was the original back cover for Rubber Soul. This one I did used to have on CD, and I like this album. Excuse me. This is sort of a quintessential Beatles album. I thought, I saw that they had all the Beatles albums, and I thought, well, if I could only have one, because I'm trying not to spend too much money, and everything that I can, I'm getting it secondhand. Unless sometimes there might be a special edition. Like, LA Woman, they just did a 50th anniversary that I really want to get the CD for. Really, really. And if I have to get it new, I will. And I think it's like $25 too, so it's not a cheap CD. But there's like there's an hour or two worth of like session outtakes and stuff like that. So anyway, this is a classic. This is a hash burner. Do I have to say anything about this album? I'm not as familiar with it as I should be, which is why I bought it and hope to listen to it and enjoy it a lot more, because most of these, like I said, it's stuff that I want to be able to sink my teeth into. I'm showing you guys CDs that I'm pretty sure are already good, but they're not a part of my heart yet. Like I think something like, think Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. That album is like a part of my DNA from how much I've listened to it. I know it, forward and backward. When I was buying these new CDs, I was specifically looking for fresh things. And you know what? Something else that I didn't mention is the reason that I'm branching out so much, because this is not like over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, this is not typically the stuff that I've been listening to. I'm looking for fresh nuggets, man. I'm looking for a little I'm looking for something to get inside the head, to spring up an antenna so that I can get a little bit of inspiration going. Okay, this is fun. This was so much fun because I bought this on a whim. Animalization, it's the United States version of Animalism, I think is the UK version. And now I have no strong feelings at all towards the animals. The reason why I bought this is because, well, one, the animals are there's a few reasons. One, the animals are considered a good, classic blues rock British, what do they call it? British Invasion, like those 60s British bands that made blues a little more hardcore, same vein as the Rolling Stones and whatnot. So that this is their fourth studio album from 1966, 1967. It's not a paper sleeve, but it is in the mini LP format. In as far as I can tell, in the sense that, this looks like the back cover of the original LP. I guess I should have probably looked ahead of time, but this blue and yellow color combination really does it for me here. And of course, I've heard House of the Rising Sun, which is a great song, and practiced that one on harmonica a little bit. But I really just took a shot in the dark. I said, the Animals? Okay, they're like, yeah, like a blues rock band, right? And I just so happened to pick, I think, the perfect Animals album, because this was the point in the career where... What's wrong, monkey? Buddy, I'm working. He's ready for lunch. This was the point in the Animals' career where they sort of matured a little bit, and it was more of a hard-edged sound. I don't know, I just have to tell you guys, I got into the parking lot, and what do you do when you buy a new CD? You open it right there in the parking lot and put it in your CD player. That's the beauty of having a CD player in my car. I'm so grateful for that. I'm so happy. Dude, my Honda Odyssey, oh man, this is bringing me back to my glory days when I had my collection. My Honda Odyssey had a 6 CD changer in it. Honda Odyssey was a van that I used to have. And so yeah, you could have 6 CDs, just push button to button. It never got stuck. Man, that shit ruled. Anyway, so I popped this right in the parking lot, and as I'm driving out of the parking lot, I hear track 1, which is Don't Bring Me Down. First of all, this CD sounds pretty good because I've heard of the Animals before on Spotify, and I don't know if I just didn't have the high-resolution lossless on, but it sounded like dog shit. This CD sounds really good. The sound can be described as like a harder edge blues rock. There's a little bit of Doors in here. Not that, sorry. I think this album might have been listened to by the Doors because if you listen closely, there's a couple spots on this album. I haven't listened to this that much. I've only listened to this record a couple times, but there's a couple spots on that album where it's almost like the Doors just straight up stole a little riff, which it's okay, that is how these things work. And hey, it's blues rock, so I'm, maybe not, but I'm just saying it was, if nothing else, it's a very similar sound, and it put a smile on my face. Love the tones on the guitar as well, very nice, fuzzy. Okay, guys, we're down to the last 2, and these are both in mini LP format. Isn't this cool? This is one of the ones I bought brand new. I'm Jimmy Reed, and I have to tell you guys something. I have some opinions on this album. Okay? I'm Jimmy Reed. Before we say anything, I just have to let it be known, first of all, that I love this fucking color, the background, and second of all, this is probably, I can't say my favorite, but it's in my top 5 favorite blues LP covers of all time. I'm Jimmy Reed. Look at this. I love the color of it. I love Jimmy Reed's guitar. This chair, I have this exact same chair in my kitchen. I'm not kidding. Well, not this exact same chair, but, like one that looks pretty much... In fact, I've blown up this image, and down to the nails in the chair, I have the same chair. So it's like from the same manufacturer, probably. And there you can see an ashtray and a harmonica, which... I actually don't think it's a Marine band. Monkey, are you going to get in? You got to say hi if you're going to jump on the desk. Come on. Come on, coconut. Oh, big coconut. You got to say, hey, monkey. Who is that? It's like, man, leave me alone. Anyway, the perfect cover. This cover screams late 50s, early 60s to me. I love the way that the songs are kind of displayed on the side there. Cover, great. The contents of this album, not amazing. And let me tell you why. Nothing wrong with Jimmy Reed. Jimmy Reed is a fantastic... Jimmy Reed is a great... I'm going, monkey. Hold on. Jimmy Reed is a great blues musician. The problem here lies in the selection of the songs. I'm going to let you take a look at the backing, the track list here. I am quite sorry to say this is not a good track list at all. In fact, it's almost like they picked the shittiest Jimmy Reed songs that they could. I don't know how High and Lonesome didn't make it on here. That song is incredible. I can't believe, and that was the first one that was the first single that he ever did. So there's really no excuse it wouldn't be on here other than the title. I guess, I don't know, maybe they thought that was controversial. Honest I Do, Go On to School, My First Plea, Boogie in the Dark. These songs mean nothing to me. This is like out of all of his singles, these have to be near the bottom of the barrel. Ain't That Lovin' You Baby? All right, that could be considered, a little bit of a hit. You Got Me Dizzy. It's again, I'm exaggerating a little bit. These aren't bad songs. Let me be very clear. These are not bad songs. It's just Jimmy Reed had so much cooler stuff to put on a record, and they put this. Yeah. Can't Stand to See You Go is a pretty good one. Rollin' Rumma, that's one of my favorite instrumentals. You Don't Have to Go is the best track on here, I think I would say. Yeah. I just learned that one. It's on a B-flat harmonica, key of F. And it's got this really, really cool intro riff. It's like... Whoa, baby, you don't have to go. I'm gonna pack up, darling, down the road I go. That was terrible singing. My throat's not feeling too well. Okay, guys, for the finale here, it's another Rolling Stones. You know what really got me about this, and this is, again, mini LP. This is the 2002 one. But what's really cool, actually a couple pretty cool things. First of all, this is one of those very early CDs from the early 2000s. And I don't know if you guys know this, some CDs and DVDs from the late 90s, early 2000s actually turn gold with time. Hey, look, you can see yourself in the reflection. Look at my tripod. It's a coffee cup with a phone holder on it. But yeah, so it's a golden disc, which I actually don't know if that's from age or not. I just know oftentimes when I buy old DVDs or old CDs, if they're from the early 2000s, late 90s, they a lot of times do look gold. So, no, but what got me was I learned about the Rolling Stones before I was a fan of them. Just from a history point of view, just out of curiosity, because I just wanted to be educated on rock and roll. And I remember when I was researching the Rolling Stones, I read or heard some way about the Beggar's Banquet, which, Shadow, I'm almost done, buddy. Beggar's Banquet was originally a blank white cover, and it had like an RSVP, and it just said Beggar's Banquet. This was the original cover that the Rolling Stones wanted, which is a toilet that they graffitied the shit out of, and I guess it was who was it, Decca or Capitol or Abco? Whatever record company they were working on it at the time said, I'm sorry, you cannot make that an album cover. This was 1968 or 69. So imagine I didn't know that they ever, I had thought that they released this cover in like some special edition and that it was probably really expensive. Come to find out, most of the CDs of Beggar's Banquet are the original cover. I just thought that was really cool. It's not my favorite cover ever, but it's a really rock and roll cover, isn't it? So yeah, that's great. This one, again, I haven't listened to as much as I could and as much as I should, but there's some, actually, this is Sympathy for the Devil. It's so funny, I used to date this girl, Jasmine, in my early 20s, and, I always think about her every time, because she introduced me to that song, Sympathy for the Devil. And I remember at the time I didn't like the Stones, and I was like, all right, sure. And now every time I listen to that song, I just wish that I don't know. I just miss my girlfriend from being a young man. That's all. It just reminds me of her. That's all. What was I gonna say? No expectations. I think is. I actually want to learn that for slide. Dear Doctor, Parachute Woman, dude, on the A harmonica. Playing along to that, definitely. Stray Cat Blues, Mick Jagger. I bet you Mick Jagger never plays that song live for the remainder of his lifetime. They could have taken... I really feel like this album, they could have added Jumpin' Jack Flash. I don't know why, I just really feel like that's missing here. I know they probably released it as a single around this time, but Jumping Jack Flash right before or after Street Fighting Man, I think would have been perfect. By the way, Street Fighting Man, awesome guitar tone on that. That's the one where Keith Richards used an early cassette player and sort of made it into a fuzz pedal. So yeah, guys, that's it. That's all I got for now. Restarting my collection and trying to get away from the bullshit, which, like I said, a lot of problems don't have solutions, but I can fix the phone addiction at the very least. If nothing else, I can at least fix that. And that should open me up more to listening to music, new music, paying attention to movies and TV shows, which is something I've really, really been struggling with. I'm trying to think what else I had to say, because I did have a lot of things that I wanted to say for this episode. Now I can't really think of any. Damn. Yeah, guys, I apologize for the lack of videos. I'm not exaggerating when I say that things seem to be getting progressively worse in my life. So for the time being, that's how it stands. I keep trying to make videos for you guys and they just come out like dog shit, and then I just don't upload them. I have a folder in my phone that has about, if I had to guess, an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of videos that just never got uploaded because I was in a bad mood, or like it just didn't come out right. And I know my videos are already very low effort content, so imagine if I uploaded something that I thought was like really dog shit. It just wouldn't be worth putting out there. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying my best to do as much and put as much out as I can. Again, this thing about time, but then, on the other hand, I think maybe I'll just die soon. How about that? Okay, see you guys next time.